live from Cambria Heights, Queens. We are following around some of the candidates for Assembly District here in the 33rd. So let's go inside the home of Bryan Block, where he is celebrating with some of his constituency. And let's find out exactly why they support him. And we'll speak to the candidate himself today on Communication Corner. There's a certain show on cable television where I won't name names, where they interview famous celebrities on the stoop. Well, today we're going to talk on someone's stoop, about someone being Bryan Block here at his home in Cambria Heights. Hi, Bryan.
Hi, Gail. How are you this evening?
I am very well. It's a great summer night, and it's a great night to meet you as a candidate. So how long have you been living here in Cambria Heights, Bryan?
I've been residing in Cambria Heights since 1967. Originally, we lived in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do-or-die Bed-Stuy. We lived on Pulaski Street. The neighborhood started getting too rough, so my parents decided to move, and we ended up here on 219th Street in Cambria Heights. We've been residing here since 1967.
So since 1967, you've grown up here, basically, lived your entire adult life here. How has this neighborhood changed?
Well, it has changed. The Linden Boulevard, the commercial strip, is not as vibrant as I would say it used to be. That's one of the issues that I will be trying to address, to work along with the other elected officials to bring back the revitalization of, I feel, in my opinion, Linden Boulevard from Francis Lewis to the Cross Island Parkway. Lately, we've had more undesirable stores, I feel, in my opinion, are coming into the community.
What do you qualify as an undesirable store?
Well, something that's not giving something back to the community, in my opinion. When I was younger, we had A&Z, which was a hardware store. Home Depot and Lowe's have put them out of business, but that was the place where people could be employed. Kids from the community can go in there and find a part-time job. You had various pizzerias. You had those very full-fledged Chinese restaurants, sit-down Chinese restaurant where the Cambria Library is presently. You can go in there with your family and have a sit-down dinner. But we don't have those establishments anymore. What's happening is that I've discovered, because as chair of the Community Planning Board, a lot of liquor licenses have been coming into the Community Board, and we just have a lot of banquet halls that are opening up on Linden Boulevard. Now, in my humble opinion, these establishments are not contributing anything to the community. There's only some, and it's nothing against the individuals who are opening in these establishments. They're looking to make a dollar, and they're looking to become entrepreneurs. That's fine, but I don't see personally what is giving back to the community. You can only have so many banquet halls along Linden Boulevard, and that's an issue I'd like to just see addressed with myself, with not so much the establishments, but with the State Liquor Authority. Because I just feel they rubber stamp too many of these establishments coming into our community and not really contributing to the community. I would just love to see more full-fledged established restaurants, maybe a chain. We have various pharmacies that are coming in to the community.
So those are good things.
Yeah, those are good things. But it also shows that how there's a lot of sickness going on in our community, because there was years ago a lot of these establishments, and I'll name them by name, it's CVS and Walgreens, they would not come into our community in Rite Aid. They was hesitant of coming into the African-American community, but now they're coming in. They realize they can make money. There's extremely a lot of disposable income within our community that they realize they can tap into. So that's fine, but it also points to another issue, that how a lot of our folks in our community are suffering with illnesses, diabetes, high blood pressure, and things along those lines. So that's another issue that I would love to address, is the health conditions within our.
And speaking about those chain stores that have come in, the pharmacies, etc., a lot of people find themselves doing their grocery shopping there. What about access to fresh fruits, vegetables, and affordable groceries?
Yes, I know that's been an issue that started with the previous mayoral administration. If you go along Austin Street, on 71st Street in Forest Hills, you would see in various other communities, you see fresh fruit being sold. And in Brooklyn, in the Park Slope, Brooklyn Heights community, those things are being offered. We have Farm Breeder in the community, and some of those things are, there are fresh fruits there. But, as I said, the prior administration did start that, and that would be something to consider. I'm not saying I'm advocating for it, but at least something to look into, where we'd have fresh fruit and coming into the community, where folks can go there and purchase their fresh grapes and bananas and things along those lines to keep us healthy. Health is wealth, as I always say. Health is wealth. You can have as much money as you want, but if you're not healthy, you're nothing.
So let's talk a little bit more about your background. We know that you grew up, that you spent a long time of your life here in Cambria Heights, and that you also worship here. What church?
I worship at Sacred Heart, where I attended as a youngster, as I would say, went there back in the day, and they said Sacred Heart. Now they charge tuition. Back in those days when I was attended there, Sacred Heart was free.
Wow.
Yes, Gail, it was free. All you had to do was make sure you maintained your grades and your behavior. And myself, my sister, and other friends who attended there, we didn't have to pay tuition. That was a lovely thing back then. Unfortunately, times have changed. Parents have to pay tuition now, and that's just how things have occurred. I went to Sacred Heart. I'm also a volunteer at Sacred Heart. I'm a lectern there on Sundays, where I do the readings. The lay readings.
And how else are you involved in the community? So we've got your church, and what else do you do in the community?
Well, I am the chairperson of Community Board 13. I've been there for several years, 7, 8 years.
As chair?
As chair. I've been on the board for over 15 years. And as being chair of the Community Board 13, I work closely with the other elected officials in Cambria Heights, Queens Village, Belrose, other communities within Board 13. But I also address the quality of life issues, which, in my humble opinion, has prepared me to be the next assembly person for this district. A lot of the issues, quality of life issues, come to the community board, such as I stated before. The State Liquor Authority, we deal hand in hand with them. The 105 precinct, I attend the community council precincts on a monthly basis. I attend the recruits. I've been asked every year to come and attend and speak to the new recruits coming in.
Of the police department.
Of the police department, coming into the 105. I have stressed the need for them to be respectful when they come into the 105.
Real community policing.
Real community policing. To treat the people who they come in contact within the 105, to show them the same respect. And if they drive through the 105 precinct, and if they come through the southern part, which is Cambria Heights, Laurelton, Rosedale, Queens Village, they will realize that the communities in those areas, and in Belrose and Floral Park, are just like their communities. And when I speak to them, I realize a lot of them have come from Long Island, Selden, Comac.
Right, Nassau and Suffolk County.
Yeah, Nassau and Suffolk County. And I tell them, when you drive through the 105, you're going to see the same type of lifestyle that you're accustomed to. Grass, front lawn, homes. So just treat this community as you would treat it your own. And I stress that with them. I also stress for them to be safe. Unfortunately, a year or two ago, we lost Detective Bryan Moore at the 105 precinct.
What a tragedy.
That was a tragedy. I took that really to heart. I supported the precinct with their grieving, and I supported the family. I prayed with the family, and it was a tragedy. But also, we have to remember that, as police officers, they are public servants, and the one thing I do stress: the community has to understand they have a job to do, and they have to respect our community and respect folks that they are policing. And that's one. In addition, I'm a member of the Cambria Heights Civic Association.
Are you on the board there?
Yes, I've taken a leave from the board right now because I'm running for office. But I work hand in hand. We've planted flowers. We address the quality of life issues within Cambria Heights. So I feel I'm the perfect fit for this position right now. I have hands-on. I'm a Civic Association member, being the chair of the community board. Nothing against anyone else. It's just that I have the hands-on experience to address all the quality of life issues that have been going on within the community. We have several illegal establishments that I've addressed with the 105 and Billings Department. There's a lot of speeding within the district. I've spoken to DOT with regards to trying to get traffic control devices, such as traffic lights, if not speed bumps, if not stop signs. Because if you look along 115th Avenue with the construction that's going on there, prior to the construction that's taken place on 115th Avenue, myself, prior district manager, Mr. Lawrence McLean, and the 105, we worked hand in hand because there were numerous accidents going along.
Yes, absolutely.
Fatalities. And people were using that as a speedway. So we brought out DOT, and they addressed those issues, and they saw there was a need for a stoplight and better traffic control devices along that 115th corridor. Now they're reconstructing it, but I must say I was personally involved with getting the speeding issues addressed on 115th Avenue, and that's why I said I'm a hands-on person. I've been dealing with these issues over the years, working with the community. I go out at middle of the night to address quality of life issues, And when you want things addressed, you call on Bryan Block.
Block by block.
Block by block.
Also, I know that you have not yet run for any public office. Why is that? And then why this one?
Well, what happened here was that the assembly member, Barbara Clark, was our leader here in the assembly, along with the other elected officials. But Barbara passed on, and I'm just answering the call from several community people. They just feel that I'm the perfect candidate for this position because I've been addressing the Community Board 13, for all intents and purposes, is the assembly district. I know the civic associations, the block associations, the various city agencies. As I said before, no other person that's been going to be planning on running has been dealing with these agencies as I have. I have personal relationships with the heads of these agencies. I could just take out my phone right now and call the head of the building department or the DOT. Things along those lines.
They'll pick up the phone.
They will pick up. They will answer the phone when Bryan Block calls because Bryan Block works with them closely. Bryan Block respects them, and they respect Bryan Block. That's the issue. You give respect, you get respect back.
And on a lot of what you've said really has to do with city agencies and the district as part of the city. You would be running for a statewide office. What do you think the difference is, and what concerns would you bring to the state office of state assembly that are a little bit bigger than what you've dealt with here with your boots on the ground in the district?
Yeah, well, as I stated before, sometimes these issues overlap. When Barbara was alive, God rest her soul, folks, yes, they would reach out to the city person, but they would also reach out to her to address quality of life issues such as traffic, such as speeding, such as buildings. Yes, she was the state assembly person, but folks still came to her, and that's what's going to happen within this community. Once again, our folks just reach out to whoever they can. Now, with this regarding the state, traffic is an issue. I know it's a city thing, but concerns and speeding is something that I can still address, even though I'm in Albany. The schools, education.
What are your plans for education?
I would love to see more after-school programs. I would love to advocate for that. Also, with regards to urgent care facilities, that's a pet peeve for me. That I feel passionate about that. With regards to when you have the hospitals, we've lost one hospital, Gail. As you know, Mary Immaculate closed, and with Mary Immaculate closing, it's just inundated Jamaica, Queens Hospital Center, and LIJ. These hospitals, with the population has grown. They've been inundated with so many more individuals coming there. And if you, God forbid, you're sick and you have a little one, your significant other, and you go there to one of these facilities at night in an emergency room, it's not an in and out situation, Gail. You're there 8-10 hours possibly. If you have a little one, little kiddie poo, you're there all night. If it's your husband or your wife or your significant other, you're there all night waiting for blood work. I just feel, in my humble opinion, that more urgent care facilities within the 33rd Assembly District would assist in taking care of alleviating some of the extra patients that are going into these emergency rooms until you can be stabilized overnight, and then you can go see your personal doctor, your personal physician in the morning. Not just urgent care facilities. Let me just say this, Gail, that these urgent care facilities must be unionized. I'm a product of union background. My father was an MTA worker, a Motorman Block on the G line. My mother's retired from Elmhurst Hospital as a nurse, so I'm a union baby. So it's not a matter where I'm just looking for urgent care facilities. I want them unionized also, so folks can get jobs, and union jobs. That's the most important thing, in my opinion, to have a union job. Even though there is an assault on unions across this country, I just feel we should have union urgent care facilities. And senior housing. Let me just touch on that, because I know we're going to be wrapping up shortly. Yeah. Gail, as we say, our parents, when they were younger, the house was no problem for them to go up and down, clean and everything. But as you know, as our folks get older, the house becomes a little bigger for them. But they love staying in the community. They love staying in Queens Village. They love staying in Cambria Heights and Belrose and New Hyde Park. They don't want to leave the district because their friends are here, their church is here. So senior housing would be something that I would really extremely love to push for, to work with the other elected officials in the state and city government. I know Danique Miller has been talking about this issue. I'd love to work hand in hand with him. Danique Miller is the councilman for the district. I would love to work with him hand in hand, along with State Senator Comrie, to get more senior housing into this district, so folks don't have to leave. They don't have to sell and move down south or back to Jamaica, back to the Caribbean. They can stay here, go to their church, and stay with their families and their friends, and see their grandchildren grow up. And that's just, it's just a passion about mine that I'd love to see addressed. And I plan to do that way if I am elected.
And what about two other questions? What about senior centers in the district?
Well, we have the Alpha Phi Alpha Senior Center on Linden Boulevard and 220th Street. I have no problems trying to advocate for more senior centers. If we have space, I would love to support. I would give my name, letter, whatever I have to do to support more senior housing. I mean, more senior facilities like the Alpha Phi Alpha to come into the district. It can't hurt. It could only help, because seniors need a place to go. They want to bond and learn how to play computers. I mean, not play checkers and to go on the computers. I know the Alpha Phi Alpha Center is teaching classes with regards to computers. And a lot of the seniors have lined up to take classes. So you're never too old.
And we were talking about having more urgent care centers in the district. And I've read in the paper that you had a health care scare. Can you share with us what that health scare was? And are you feeling well now?
Oh, I am excellent. LIJ came through. They did what they had to do.
Well, when was it?
And
what happened?
I must say it stemmed from high blood pressure. This is why I've been advocating, and as chair of Community Board 13, I held a health fair where I brought hospitals in. No other community board has done this, and let the hospitals know what they have to offer. And this is why since then I've been going on advocating for more men, especially men. I mean, us men, we don't know what we have to do, and my health condition stemmed from hypertension, which is the silent killer. A lot of men have hypertension, and because I, as an African-American man, did not do what I was supposed to do.
Which is take meds?
Take the medication, the diuretics. I ended up in LIJ, and it was a scary moment.
And when was this? What year?
Oh my gosh, about 4 years ago. Yeah, roughly, about 4 years ago.
And since then, have you been taking your meds?
Oh, as they say, I am listening to my doctor's orders. As Gail, let me just say, the reason why a lot of men, especially African American men, don't like taking their hypertension medication is because these stories about their side effects.
Right. Definitely.
The sexual impotency side effects of medication. A lot of men don't want to take their medication that they should. And the cemeteries are full of men who did not want to listen to their doctors and take their medication. I am here to tell you, women know what to do, Gail. They know to follow up and go to their doctors. They know when they're not feeling well to go for checkups. Men, we think we're invincible. We think we can just, take this and just make up some concoction and go about our business. But when you start getting them pounding headaches and you haven't seen a doctor in God knows how long, it will catch up with you, and you will either end up, and someone will end up saying, well, I remember Joe Smith or the late Joe Smith. I always say, we want to hear from you, not about you. So
that's part of your platform now, advocating for men to get their blood pressure checked and to take their meds.
Not just blood pressure, just to get checkups. Make sure you go for your health checkups at least once a year as a man. Sometimes when the men finally go for checkups, Gail, it's too late. You hear men, I've just heard stories where a 39, 40-year-old young man just dropped dead, brain aneurysm. You hear stories about men, by the time they realize what they have, it's prostate cancer, and it's beyond. It's beyond. They can't do anything. It's just a matter of waiting for when you die. If you can go, one thing I just want to leave with you and others out there, men, and yes, I'm not going to be. I'm not going to just. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to say black men, African American men, you brothers out there, make sure you go to the doctor. Make sure you listen to your doctor. Do what your doctor tells you to do. Listen to your wife, your girlfriend when she tells you to go to the doctor. Because you know what the alternative is. If you don't do this, you're going to end up with either a stroke an aneurysm, you won't be able to speak, or the final thing, you'll end up in the cemetery, and then we'll either be going to Roy Gilmore's or Foster Phillips to see you, and we don't want to do that. Men, please, do these things.
So I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No,
so final words, why is Bryan Block the best candidate?
Block is the best candidate in my opinion because I have the experience to address the issues within the 33rd Assembly District. I've been responding to complaints, quality of life issues for years, all my life. I've been an advocate on the various issues within this community, leading the fight on various issues, and I just feel that at this time I'm the better candidate. It's nothing against the other candidates; they're great people, but my thing is, once I get to Albany, I plan to address various issues such as senior housing. Senior housing is a very important issue within this community. I will be addressing that issue. After-school programs with regards to the Board of Education. We have several schools in this community, but we need after-school programs because, back in the day, in these days right now, we have a lot of students who are latchkey children. And once I get to Albany, I would love to address more after-school programs for our young people coming home after school where our parents won't have to help worry about them, people to help them with their homework. As I said, after-school programs, senior housing, and urgent care facilities. I have the experience, been dealing over the years, and these are the things I would love to address. I plan to address once I am in Albany. I'd love to pass legislation to address these issues, to work with the other elected officials to get this done. And I have the experience to do it, and that's why I want to go to Albany, and that's why I plan to do once I'm elected, Gail.
Okay. Bryan Block, he is candidate for 33rd Assembly District here in Queens. So he is among a stable of people who are running for this position. So in September and in November, remember that every vote counts, and don't let your vote go without being cast. Thanks again, Bryan Block, for sitting down with me on the stoop. I appreciate it.
September 13, 2016, come out and vote. And remember, block by block, Bryan Block.
Block by block, Bryan Block in the 33rd Assembly District, reporting from his front steps here in Cambria Heights.
I'm voting for Bryan because I believe that we need people in our community that are people who are from the community, that are supportive of the community, and that really care. A lot of times you have politicians that just want the position or want the role, but they don't want the responsibility, and it's sort of a distant thing. But Bryan really deeply cares about the people and everything about the community, and I think that he will be the perfect person for this job and for this position.
This has been another exciting episode of Communication Corner with me, your host, Gail Lewis. Today we broadcast live from the home of Bryan Block. He is one of the candidates vying for the assembly seat here in the 33rd Assembly District. We met the candidate and we spoke to some of his supporters to find out exactly why they've thrown their support his way. Well, no matter who you vote for and no matter what assembly district you live in, make sure that you vote this September and in November as well, because remember, every vote counts.